there's so much ego in magic. And what it leads to is people saying, no, you don't want to do it like that. You want to do it like this. You see posts about like, what you should be wearing, and you get all these bits of advice that you're told you must do. And all you're really dealing with is somebody's ego that is believing that how they do it is the right way and the only way. And it was that led me to feeling uncomfortable as a performer for so long. It made me be a performer that I wasn't being myself. And also, I think some people want to put people down in the industry to make themselves feel better, to protect themselves. I think there's room for people to be themselves.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Desert Island Tricks. We have a wonderful creator of magic today. I've actually known him since my teens, and there's some rather embarrassing videos on YouTube of me and my teens and Ben at the same time, who was very gracious coming on to the trailers for those tricks. But he really has been around this industry for an incredibly long time. I was just saying to him, I remember having things like Linko and rings when I was really young. I remember seeing the first PDFs and video downloads. That was when PDFs and video downloads first came about. It's great to see that these tricks have sort of lasted the test of time. I'm sure some of these are going to be on his list, or I certainly hope they are. And even things like, I was just saying to him, Anything, which was another one of his brilliant prediction routines that I think was put out by Penguin Magic, is something that I gigged so much when it came out because it was brilliant. And I used to do it to my shoe, but because I no longer do it to my shoe, that's the only reason I stopped. Otherwise, I would still be doing it. I think it's a superb trick. Now, I think I've said too much already about who he is and what he is, because hopefully we'll find out about some of these in the future. But I'm very excited to have him on here. It is the wonderful Ben Williams. Hello, Ben.
Oh, hello.
So
that was very lovely.
Well, when we think about how far back we go now, I mean, I remember filming those videos when I was about 18, either 17 or 18, which feels a very long time. And you worked in a magic shop, which is where we filmed them. And like I say, that was when things like video downloads first came about. PDFs were quite big. And then video downloads started to come out, and that sort of, you were one of the first people that started really thinking about that style of product making. Yeah.
I think it made everything. It kind of took out a middleman or something, like not having to produce a DVD or something, not having to, speak to a publisher about actually having a physical book made. But we were in the days back then of Windows Media Player and compressing all of your video software and all of the horrible stuff that comes with it. Now you can just literally stick your phone on a kitchen worktop, film something, and the sound looks good. The sound sounds good. The video looks good. It was a whole different era back then. Like, get your camcorder out and set it up.
Absolutely. Now, you used to work in the magic shop, didn't you? So you worked for merchants for, I think it was quite a long time in the end.
10 years. 10 years wow. I was there. Yeah. It was a long time. It was, it was great. It was good. I learned so much. Just having access to new releases, the classics and books and stuff. And I know so much more magic than I'll ever be able to perform, because you had to learn certain things to talk to people about. Over time, it made me really understand what kind of, what I liked and and also helped me with the creativity. I think when you're being creative, the more knowledge you have as a foundation, the better. Because you've got a whole tool belt, if you like, and the bigger your tool belt, the more jobs you can do, kind of thing, if you like. it gives you the proper tools to then move forward. So yeah, it was a good time. It was good.
Now, what prompted you to leave?
Yeah, so I got to a point where I was having my second child, and I had worked my way up to the highest position I was ever going to have in the magic shop. And I was just, parenting kicked in, like adulting kicked in, and was just like, right, you need to push, you need to progress more. And having a solid 9 to 5 is great. It's lovely having that security, having that monthly pay and everything like that. But there is a limit to your time, to your energy, to your free time, to your creative bandwidth, if you like, in your brain. And so, yeah, it was just a case of, right, I'm just going to, because essentially I got the job in the magic shop as a way, just like I was just doing 2 days a week. And it was just like, I'll just do this until my gigs get enough that I will, start really doing lots of gigs, and then I don't need the shop anymore, kind of thing. And that was the whole idea. And then that 2 days turned into 3 days, which turned into a full week, which then, turned into a managerial job at the physical shop and stuff like that. And it was just, it suited me amazingly. It was great. And every time I thought about leaving to progress myself, I was like, yeah, but I'm learning so much. I'm doing all this. Suddenly 10 years went by, and I was like, okay, second kid's coming along now. I need to do something. So I left the shop, and that was probably 2016. I left the shop, or maybe the Christmas of 2015. And I just pushed hard to go into the wedding market, because I live in a lovely part of the world. There's loads of lovely wedding venues around here. And I was just like, right, if I don't do this now, I'm not going to do it. So I did it, and I made sure I had a couple of months worth of money in my bank that I'd saved up, and then I just hit the ground running and just spoke to a few people that I knew were doing well. Lee Smith really helped me out at the time, and because I called him up when I was thinking of leaving, and I was like, "Can you actually make a living out of just performing? Is this possible? Am I being a fool?" And we had a good long chat, and he totally reassured me. And I just, hit the ground running, basically, and then just pushed. And over time, really cemented myself in the wedding market. And then I started to diversify myself, because I do a lot of bespoke magic. So I create unique magic. I know a lot of people go, I do a special trick for the bride and groom. And that special trick is like anniversary waltz or something. Like the tricks that I devise for people that book my bespoke packages are like unique to them, And so that's allowed me to carve my own little niche, if you like, in the wedding market. And it also helps with corporate, because you can obviously transfer all these. That's what I've been doing.
Amazing. Now, being around magic for so long, I'm guessing that your list may have been a difficult one to put together?
Yeah. I honestly, I found this harder than putting a lecture together or putting a show together, because, it was just really, part of it is trying to whittle down to what really matters. But then also, it's how do I zone in on just one area? Like say, if I said, I'm going to take a deck of cards, then that could be thousands of tricks. But really, you want the one trick. You don't want like the deck of cards so that I can do thousands of tricks. So it's trying to work out what would I feel naked without at a gig, kind of thing. And there's a few things that I've left off there, because there's 8 is just not enough. I know some working magicians go, you need 6 tricks and that's all you need to do, and you do it to everybody. But I just don't work like that. I have a huge range of different tricks, and I like to chop and change, and how I perform changes to who I'm performing to. I'm not the same person to everybody. And I feel that's really important. I think too many performers are like, this is what I do, and this is how I present myself. And I think what you're missing out on by doing that is the connection that you gain from treating people like people instead of spectators.
Okay, well, if that doesn't wet the whistle, I don't know what will. I'm excited to get into this. So, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, the idea is that we're about to maroon Ben on his very own magical island. When he's there, he's allowed to take 8 tricks, banish 1 item, take 1 book, and 1 non-magic item he uses for magic. Any particulars like who's there, what's there, are there animals there, are there people there, all that good stuff, we do not mind. This is in Ben's own imagination. So, Ben, let's go to your island and find out what you put in position number 1.
I mean, these are in no specific order, apart from what I wrote them down in. So it's not like the first one is the most necessary, but I think they're all pretty necessary for me. But the first one I would say is ring flight revolution. There's a lot of talk in the magic community, and there always has been, about ring flight. Like, oh, you should not do that. Like, a lot of people poo-poo it because the danger of borrowing something that is precious to somebody, or the horror stories where you hear something's gone wrong. However, I feel that, firstly, the ring flight revolution prop is a solid prop. It is very well constructed. It's very well built. It's very reliable. I think it's... I remember having the original ring flight pouch by Ronjo or something like that. And it's like a little leather pouch which houses the reel and the thing inside, should I say. And then it had this tiny little clip, and this tiny clip would only fit like a dainty lady's finger ring, and it was prone to kind of breaking and stuff like that. But what Dave Bonza has done with Ring Flight Revolution is made everything solid, everything reliable, everything really well made. And if you know Dave, you know he doesn't compromise. So I feel very confident in his props. I've been using Ring Flight Revolution for years and years now, probably over a decade. And the reason why I think I can't live without it is because it's insanely magical. You take someone's ring, and I do it a little bit differently. You see a lot of people doing this crotch shot where they put the ring on their finger and they hold it down by their crotch, and then they do this whole kind of fiddly thing, pull it off my finger, and then you bring it up to your face. Like, I don't do that. I simply hold the ring. It's ready to go, and then at a certain point in time, I just let it go. And so they believe nothing has happened, and this ring is just in my hands. My sleeves are rolled up and everything, and it's already done. Everything is done. The rest is just hamming it up. And I can then have this pure vanish. It's not, I put this here in this hand and then I've grabbed a pen or I've done anything like that. It's just, I'm holding your ring, you've seen it, and I can reprogram them to make them think that my hand has always been away from my body at all times, which makes it even more impossible. You show the ring is gone. And I love that moment because they're expecting it to go. Okay, it's not like a shock. They're not scared. You know, if they're scared, you're not reassuring them they don't have faith in you. Okay, so I think that's a point. But they're expecting it to go. It does go, and I love that moment because I ride in that space where too many people, I think, rush too quickly at this point. They go, it's not in my hands, but it's on my keys. Or they make a joke out of it, like, oh, I said if this goes wrong, then I will give you my car. And they pull their car keys out and oh, look, there it is, kind of thing. Like, it's an insanely magical vanish. So let it breathe, let it be magical. Hold your hands up, show your hands empty. Show them back to front. Show that it's not up your sleeve. So I cancel out everything that they are thinking it could be. All right. And then also whilst reprogramming them, making it more impossible. And then and only then when that starts to settle down, do I then I have a fun moment with some people, depending on who I'm performing to, where I just let that awkwardness sit until it becomes really awkward. And that makes it quite comedic in that moment. If not, I just really ham up the impossibility of it. And then I just pause a little bit and slow it down. And then I say, don't worry though, it is perfectly safe. And even though my hands haven't been anywhere near, it's in my pocket. Not just this pocket, my back pocket. And that's when I show my hands empty both sides and I go, not only is it in my back pocket, but it's attached to my keys. And then you just let that moment breathe. So you get an insanely magical vanish, an insanely magical reproduction, and it's something which is sentimental to them, or that, you know, is theirs. You know, so they know you haven't messed with this. That is their ring. It's not anything that you could have pre-prepared or anything like that. It's just a beautiful piece of magic. And the Ring Flight Revolution prop is so well made that you know, I have a couple of them. I can't, and if I go to a gig without it, I'm a bit like, oh, what am I gonna do? You know, because it adds a different element. It's not a card trick. It's not a coin trick. It's not a routine. It's just a pure bit of magic, and I love that.
Well, it's a great choice. Now, do you use it as part of a like routine, or are you using this as a standalone effect?
Nope. It is standalone. I have a thing. I try to make my routines as singular focus as possible. Like if I have a routine, there's like maybe a journey to it. But if somebody were to recall that routine, it is a journey to one singular destination. And that's the important thing. You know, for example, if I were to do, this isn't on my list, but I do it a lot, and I know a lot of magicians do it. But like if I was to do Omnideck, a lot of magicians go, this is my finale to my ambitious card routine. I do Omnideck whenever it suits. And the whole idea is that I used to do card, you know, double lift, transposition, card to mouth, card to pocket, end up with Omnideck. And it's like this flurry of like, whoa, 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 magic, 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 magic. But then I realized that what I'm doing there is I'm showing my insecurities, because I'm using each trick, each different phase to kind of like, I'm not letting any one phase breathe, because I'm like more, hit them with it, hit them with it, hit them with it, hit them with it. And really, you don't need to do that. So the more and more confident as a performer I've got, the more and more I've taken things out and reduced things and made things more direct and simple. And also in this day and age, something super quick, super impossible is good for attention spans. You know, I don't like I say, I adapt to people, and I see when people are getting a bit tired with things or something like that, you know, or I know when somebody wants to be bam, 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 hit me with it. Because some people want to go on a journey with you, some people don't. And if you're not reading that in your audience, then you're missing a trick, really. You're missing building rapport with everyone. And, so yeah, it is just a standalone thing. It's a quick, impossible piece of magic. I'm yet to find anything. I do other ring stuff. I do different ring stuff in my show and everything like that. But this is one which, yeah, I'd say I've done it over 10,000 times. You know, it's not just 1,000 timer, it's a 10,000 timer kind of thing.
Amazing. Well, that's a great one in at number one. And let's move on to number two.
All right. So this is another real worker. It's another 1,000 timer, and that is my card to shoe routine. I don't know. I'm starting to look and like maybe. Yeah, I love the impossible location. It just screams magic to spectators. This thing was here and now it's there, you know, like Ring Flight, it's there, it was now not there, and now it's somewhere impossible. So the card to shoe is like that. And it's part of something that I love, because it's something that I really embraced when I embraced being my own performer. When I first started magic, I was what I call a child of Blaine, as I'm sure a lot of people were when they saw David Blaine on the Street Magic and went, wow, God, I need to do that. Okay. And when I first started, I thought that's how you would present magic. Like, watch, like magic's happening kind of thing. And that everyone's going to be, wow, magic. And it's just not like that. So many people are like, especially when you first start to learn, you're showing your friends magic. And they are like, shut up, Ben. I know you're not magic. Like, show me the trick. Come on. What? Come on. I know magic's not real. And you get a lot of that. And as you're growing as a performer, you probably get more of that than you would as a seasoned performer. Well, you definitely do, because you haven't got the chops, because you're still learning. And so when I started learning, there's a lot of ego in magic. There's a lot of, this is how you do things. These are the rules of magic. How, whether it's what you're dressed in, what you should wear, or how you should hold yourself, how you should, all these kinds of things. And I watched videos, VHS tapes, and I would perform. I would use the patter that Sankey used, or that Daryl used, or, and I would be like, well, that's how you perform the trick, And so what I ended up finding was that I felt wrong. I didn't feel comfortable as a performer. I just felt lacking, I don't know. And I was always looking outwards for what is the thing that's going to make me feel good. And really it was ignoring all that. Stop listening to those bits of advice and do what is in your heart, do what feels right to you. And card and shoe is one of those things that I started doing because I loved the idea, always wanted to do it, but got told categorically that you should never take your shoe off, especially at a paid gig, because it's disgusting. People will complain. It's like people don't like it. It's bad manners, all these kinds of things, tons of, you should be classier than that, and all these kinds of things. And just one day I was like, I'm going to do it. And I started doing it, and the reactions you get are fantastic. And I've done this in every situation possible. And now I've got it honed down to this. Again, I can do it incredibly quick, like ring flight. So they select a card, they sign a card, they choose the shoe. I've got a really fun process for them to choose which shoe it turns up in, and then it's in the shoe and it's folded, and it's super quick like that. Or it can be as a finale to a little sort of card bit or something like that. But really, it's been with me since I chose to be myself as a performer, and so it's got a little special place in my heart for that.
Well, I think that's a great point to make. And earlier on in the podcast, I mentioned another one of your routines, which is called Anything. I used to do that to shoe, and it gets such an incredible reaction because I think it's the most unassuming place for something to appear. And when you look down at your shoe, they connect the dots before you say anything. And the reality sets in, and you see it on their face.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really valued place to make something appear, regardless of whether, one might think it's appropriate or not, because we make things come out of our mouths and, all sorts of places.
What I've found through performing a lot is that people aren't as offended as you think they're going to be. Nothing is ever as bad as you envision it's going to be. Your mind is a crazy place, and your ego is either going to tell you you're the best at something or the worst at something. And it's either going to be the best situation is going to happen or the worst situation is going to happen. And in reality, neither of those really ever happen, or rarely happen. You end up somewhere in the middle, and you just got to go for it. I'm going to make sure I have socks on if I do this trick. If I pull something out of my shoe, I'm going to have socks on. My shoes are, if I'm wearing trainers, they're clean. If I'm at a gig, my shoes are nice, and yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it. It's a talking point as well. People go like, I can't believe it. His car was in my shoe. If you go on my Google reviews page, then you'll see people talk about it. Like, I still don't get how my card ended up in your shoe. Like, it really is a memorable thing. And that's what I want. I want singular moments of focus that people can remember and recall and tell other people, and it sound impossible to them too.
Well as allowing you to take that to your island, we're going to give you some shoe deodorant as well, just for good measure.
Just for good measure. My shoes smell like roses, mate. But this is the thing, right? You get some people when you show the cards in the shoe, and their hand is in the shoe before you even know it. They don't care at all. And then you got some people that don't want to touch the card, and that's funny in its own right. And I'm never going to push it on them or do that. Like, if I'll show it's theirs and I'll put it away in my pocket. That's the vibe I get. You know, like I say, I adapt to people. So it doesn't ever have to be offensive or like, oh, why are you doing this to me? Like, you know, if they're 6 foot away and you pull it out of your shoe, you show it's theirs and put it away. What's there to be offended by? What's there for them to gross out about? Nothing.
It's a great one at number 2. You know, we've gone from a ring flight to a card in shoe. And you did mention that you do have a thing for things for impossible locations. So maybe we've got more coming up. We'll find out soon. Let's find out what you put in number 3.
So in number 3, it's funny you mentioned it as well. And by all means, there's quite a lot of stuff which is my own stuff, because I take lessons from everything and everyone, but I like to be creative and I like to sort of put my own spin on things. So Inner Thing is my third choice, which is a prediction routine. So Inner Thing is it's a routine that came about from working. There was, who was it? Is it Paul Vigil? I think in Vegas, he came out decades ago with a trick where you had a thought of card, and on the back of the card was a thought of word that was written. And he had a great little method for it. And I loved the idea. And I started playing around with this idea of trying to work out how to do this. And I saw a trick by Jay Sankey called Graffiti many, many years ago, where you had a spectator's name appear on the back of a playing card. And there are a couple of little things. Like, I had a lot of Sankey thinking. I love Sankey. He was really pivotal to me becoming a creative magician. And I had this whole routine where I had somebody write a word down, and then I had somebody else choose a card. And then I made a bogus prediction, which was like something like look in the wallet or something like that. And then out of my wallet was a duplicate card that they had chosen with a different colored back, and the word that they had thought of was written on there. And it was, in my head on paper, it was all like, wow, this is all totally impossible. But in reality, when performing it, there was a lot of process. There was a lot of there wasn't real clarity. And also you work in different environments, and if you're a mentalist doing solid work where you are having somebody write down a thought which you then reveal, like, fair play to you, because like I work in environments with pink lighting and blue lighting and dark and loud and all this, and I'm just like, how do you do that kind of thing? And I don't want to tip the method, but I think we all know what I'm talking about. And so the beginning of this whole routine, having somebody write something down and then, secretly putting it away, and it was just a process that I wanted to eliminate. And so when I joined the dots with this graffiti routine, there's a section where there's no secret to getting the information. Like, somebody just says something, and he then uses that information later on down in the line. And if you play it right, they forget that they even said that. And I was like, oh, do you know what? That's really interesting. And I thought, why not just take the whole secret thought out of the process and just get some information through talking to people, which you can then predict. Because I've realized I'm not a mentalist. I'm not a mind reader. I'm not a palm reader. I'm not a psychic performer of any sorts. The idea that somebody can write a thought down or have a thought, and I can then look at them and figure that thought out, whether it's by psychological reading or by mystical means, just does not suit my character at all. Doesn't suit me. But if I can predict something, that just for me seems really different. And so the way I structured this routine is that you get whatever information you can just through conversation, which you then they don't see this prediction coming at the end. So when you give them a small little effect. So I do what we call a crosscut. And so that's part of the routine. And so I do a crosscut and get that. And that's an effect in itself for the spectators. And then, wham, you smack them with a massive prediction at the end that they don't see coming. And I love it because I can do it quickly and, almost comedically, or I can take my time with it and make it a performance piece. But it's something, again, which I've done so many times, and it's about the only piece of mentalism I really do. And it just suits my performing style. I love that the prediction at the end is not seen. They don't expect it at all. If you perform it right, then they don't see it coming. And then that's, makes it all the better. So yeah. And also, if you want to pull the prediction out your shoe, you can, but you can do this with a couple of bits of paper, a pen on the fly, and still have it work. So yeah. That would be my third choice, anything.
Well, I'm glad it's on your list. Like I say, I did this an awful lot when it first came out, and I thought it was just a superb trick. It's so well routined. And if I remember rightly, I think the idea behind it is you literally just say, if you were to say anything now, what would you say?
Yes.
And then you brush over that moment as if it doesn't matter, and then it comes back around later.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's exactly. So I say, do you know the difference between influence and mind reading? And so there's two ways I can get into it. One, do you know the difference between influence and mind reading? Like if I was a mind reader, which I'm not, but if I was a mind reader, if you would say a word right now, it would be, and you prompt them to say something and you get it wrong because you blurt out a different word and you go, see, I'm not a mind reader. If I was, I'd have said the word you were about to say, right? Well, I'm not. But I do use influence to give the illusion of mind reading. And then I take them off on a tangent and take them away from it. And so it just seems like a something leading up until this other part in the trick. And the other part of the trick takes over and they forget that this even never happened at the beginning, which works so well coming back to it and slapping them with it at the end because they just don't see it coming. And yeah, the other way that I'd start is I'd go, do you know how hard it is to read a mind? It's pretty hard. Like, do you want to read my mind right now? Like, I'll tell you what, I'm thinking of a word. Try and read my mind. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. And when I say one, we'll both say the word and we'll see what you get. And then you go 3, 2, 1. You both blurt out a word and they're going to be different. You go, see, it's really hard to read a mind. That's why I don't do it. But I do use influence as a way to give you the illusion of mind reading. And again, it's getting that information and then taking them away on a tangent. And what you also find as well is that if you're performing this to like a group or in a show on stage or something like that, this thought that they have, everybody knows. So when the prediction comes out, you get this mass reaction because everybody knows, oh God, that word, oh God, this, and everybody's on the same boat. But if you do it with a secret way of gaining the information, not only does that give more attention to it and they expect something to come of that at the end, but also you're then riding the wave of how well this person reacts to that piece of information being shown. Because if they are, if they don't, everybody's reaction then is dependent upon this one person's reaction, if you like. And yeah, so yeah, I just found, get that information out in the open, but make it not seem like it's anything to do with the trick. It just suited me, really. So I love it, and I know, like, I know a lot of people have done this routine. The messages that I've had, it's been selling for maybe a decade now, and still people buy it, and I still get messages from people, and I feel a bit like, but all I did was routine some things from other people and put it all together and make it fit me. So, I'm fully aware you stand on the shoulders of giants, and that there's been a lot of work in this area by other people. So it's not my trick per se, but it is how I've routined this premise, this principle in mentalism.
Well, it's a great one in at number 3. So let's head to a number 4. What's in your 4th spot?
Oh, okay. In 4th spot, I will... my coins across routine. Let's talk about that. So, when I first started doing magic, I did a lot of card stuff. And any coin stuff was like I was using something like a coin unique, or very badly doing bitten coin or something like that. And coin tricks always really interested me, but I never had the chops or the confidence to do a coin kind of flurry or routine, because if you just make a coin vanish and you do nothing else, then it's not going to take long before the spectator kind of realizes what's going on or something like that, because there's a process to it, and it becomes a hide and seek kind of thing. But when I was working for Merchant, I used to gig with the owner, Dom, and he does David Ross coins across as a staple of his routine. And I really liked it. And so I started playing around with it myself. And Daniel Garcia had a coins across on his Garcia project, which was like the David Ross coins across, but it had a different flow to it, and it had a different ending to it, which was nice. And I am lucky enough to know a wonderful magician and very eccentric person called Maximilian, Maximilian Magic, or Max Somerset. And I maybe 10, 12 years ago went out to lunch with him in Fulham in this weird, swanky London kind of cafe bar. And we sat there drinking wine and eating long into the point of the afternoon when they'd shut after lunch, and they just kind of like let us sit there. And I remember seeing him doing his coins across to the owner of the cafe. And he put in like a coin under watch, coin in shoulder. It was like, it wasn't just like this coin went from this hand to this hand, or this hand to your hand, this hand to your hand, this hand to your hand, and now you put, there was some fluidity to it. And so I kind of took that away from it as well. So my coins across routine now is, each phase is slightly different. Each phase builds. So the first one, the coins go from one hand, or one coin goes from my left hand to my right hand. Okay. But I've honed it now so much so that I've realized, if you keep your hands palm upwards, so you show 4 coins on your left hand, and you close your hands and you keep your hands palm upwards, and then you open your hands, and now you only have 3 in your left hand and there's 1 in your right. That's so much stronger than turning your hands palm down at any given point. It also allows you to use Ramsey, or is it Caps or Ramsey subtlety, so that you can seemingly show both hands completely open and still have the transition happen. The second one then happens onto the spectator's hand. So I then talk about them not just seeing the magic, but then feeling the magic. And then the third one either ends up underneath their watch or on their shoulder, depending on the situation and who I'm working with. And then the fourth one, they make disappear from their own hand. and the coin appears in a different location. The coin appears. I'll just tell you, the coin appears printed on a signed photo. So yeah, it's there's no repetition. It builds, and then the final bit happens in their hand, and then they end up with a signed photo with the coin printed on it, and of course all your details are on the back of it. So that helps.
So where did the idea for it going to a photo come from? Because that feels like a really different kind of ending.
Yeah. See, this is part of what was hard, because I love sharing my magic. I love teaching magic, and I am excited to share things that I know work and that I want to share. But then there's also things that I do that I know are truly valuable and they're mine. And I have, for the past, since 2016, really hammering in the weddings. Like as I mentioned earlier, I do a lot of bespoke magic. And what that pushed me to do was figure out different ways of doing tricks. And so I have got a whole repertoire of tricks with photos. And I've been toying with my head. Do I do a masterclass with this? Do I teach people this? Do I keep it all to myself? And basically, this ending spiraled from that, from a load of creative work, doing different tricks with different with photos of people. And yeah, I think just one day I was like, oh, what if you got something in a photo? And so I started doing that. And then what happened was I was only doing these tricks for bespoke packages that were booked. So like for people and weddings, some corporate, but mainly weddings that book this bespoke package. And I then started to really feel gutted when people didn't book the bespoke package, not because of the extra money, but because I knew I wasn't going to be doing those tricks. And I know how different these tricks feel. Like you do a card trick and you can get a great reaction. You do the exact same card trick, but using their photos, and you get a very different reactions. For some reason, cards, coins, they go, oh, sleight of hand, or the magician knows some fun stuff. You do it with a photo and suddenly sleight of hand isn't a method in their mind. They're just like, what is this Harry Potter stuff that you're doing here? I don't understand. And so yeah, that was a kind of moment for me where I was like, you know what? I'm leaving something on the table here if I'm not introducing this stuff to my own magic. And then so I do stuff with my own photos, or with, like, my business card is essentially a photo of me with my details on the back. But that allows me to do any of these same tricks with my own photos if I want to in a regular gig. So yeah, that it kind of stemmed from there. It stemmed from just me creating magic for other people and then going, oh, bloody hell, actually, I really like that. And oh God, the reaction's really good as well. And yeah, and then sort of translating that and putting that into my own stuff instead of just in bespoke stuff.
Great. Well, it sounds like a really interesting way to end a coin routine. I think it sounds really interesting. So if that's what you're holding back, I wonder what else you're holding back from us. Maybe we'll never find out. Well, let's find out what you put in number 5.
Number 5 is not mine, but I use it so much I couldn't put it in. I couldn't not put it in. And that's digital force bag. There is so much app magic. There is so much great stuff that you can do with phones. But I feel we're coming to a point now where people don't trust technology the same. Like, they're just like, okay, so you're just doing something fancy. Like, people are wise to apps. But digital force bag doesn't seem like an app. If it is, If you do it just as a standalone trick, which I do sometimes, it gets a really strong reaction. Like forcing a celebrity with a shopping item or something, and then showing that you predicted that on with their phone or some Google search on their phone. It's really, really strong. You are going to end up once in a while having somebody kind of like go, oh, well, is it just an app? Or they think that you've got 10,000 different lists on your phone. You're secretly picking the right one, but you get that. People guess at your methods all the time. And sometimes they're going to guess bang on. What I like about Digital Force Bag is it doesn't use the web. You don't need the internet connection. It's solid, it's direct, and it's customizable as well. So it allows me... I use it a lot with bespoke work. I use it as something just in my back pocket in case I want to do something different. Like I say, I don't just do card magic or just do coin magic, or I chop and change. So having this in my back pocket, knowing that, like for example, if you were just to do a Digital Force Bag prediction, and Google that, if you have a young crowd of young men and women, like, oh, can I Google something on your phone? They're on their phones all the time. That's like relatable to them. So that's a great kind of thing. I wouldn't do it for an older person, necessarily. Like, a 60-year-old couple sat there. Oh, could I Google something on your phone? Like, it's not going to have the same kind of relatability to them. So yeah. It's something which I have in my back pocket for moments, but it also allows me to have a wide range of things that I can force at a moment's notice. I can customize it, and it's solid. It works. If you play it right, it doesn't seem like it's a part of the trick. It's one of these. I've tried to kind of like choose things that really are truly valuable to me, and have either progressed who I am as a performer, or just things that I literally feel a bit naked without. And this is one of those things. Like it's solid, it's there, it's reliable, and I know for the right people, it's exactly what is needed. So yeah.
Now, you mentioned a second ago, you said the word bespoke. Does that mean that you use it differently every time, or do you have a set routine with it?
No, I use it differently. It depends. I've got routines where it's part of it, and it's always that bit in the routine. But like, for example, I might use it with anything as the force aspect in anything. I might just, I don't know, I might start a routine like when you work, you can, any worker, if you haven't done this, then you probably, I don't know. But for me, I might start a routine, and then as I'm starting the patter, right, here's an example. I go, let's try a little, prediction. Say I know I've got a duplicate card sorted for a revelation, okay? And then I go through my deck and I start the patter for the trick, and I'm trying to find that force card, and I realize, oh God, somebody signed that card two groups ago, and now I don't have that force card. But now that's the sort of time where I might just pivot and go, actually, I'll tell you what, do you mind if I Google something on your phone? And it's like inspiration is just kind of struck, rather than I've made a mistake and I'm trying to cover it up. And so having Digital Force Bag in my back pocket like that is great. But yeah, if I use it for bespoke, I can force anything that I want, because I can make a list of anything that I want, really. And so yeah, I've got a few lists where you can just chuck one item on. I've got a list of 100 pretty shite gifts. And so yeah, that's great if you're doing a private party for a birthday, but then you can change the title to pretty shite wedding gifts if you're at a wedding, and so you can just chop and change little bits of it very easily. It's very quick to adapt and change. And yeah, you can even, if you see something which you can use at a gig and you want to force that, then like Just for example, taken things like straws or wooden forks or stuff and body loaded it into people's pockets. So they choose a wooden fork off the list. And then you go, hold your hand up, reach down into your left jacket pocket, and they reach down and they pull out a wooden fork from their own pocket. And they're like, what? How the hell did that get there? You know, it enables you to just be free and easy, and it's so adaptable. It's so easy to use. It works in every environment. For me, that's a what's not to like about it kind of thing.
Hello guys, I'm here to talk to you about Alakazam Unlimited. This is the best streaming platform in the world, I'm telling you now. With Alakazam Unlimited, you get access to over 150 magic routines. This is video performances and explanations. We have card magic, coin magic, kids magic, rope magic, mentalism, stage, parlor, impromptu. We've got you covered. All of this for the low price of just £4.99 a month. And you can cancel at any time. Perfect if you've got commitment issues. Yes, I'm talking to you. Guys, you are going to absolutely love it. If you haven't joined the platform already, what the heck are you doing? Alakazam Unlimited is a streaming platform that you need to be a part of. Not only that, there is also exclusive content only available on the platform. Check out now, alakazam.co.uk. Cheers.
Amazing. Well, I'm sure it's one that a lot of working pros listening use daily. So I think it's a great choice and leads us to number 6. So what's in your 6th spot?
6. So 6 is I can't call the name of it because it's a swear word. Don't want to get you flagged. But it's my recent routine I just put out, which is my card and condom. So this is another impossible location kind of thing, and it's another, oh, you can't do that. Well, actually, I'm going to kind of thing. I'm going to work it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I will move on. But this works. So essentially, a card is chosen, it vanishes from the deck, and it ends up sealed in a condom. But that was the first iteration of the trick. And I used to do things like, it's in my wallet, and I'd pull the condom out and be like, oh, God, sorry, I didn't mean to pull that out. And wait, actually, this doesn't feel right. And then check it out, it's sealed, isn't it? It doesn't feel like what should be in there. And then they open it up and the card's in there. But so there's a couple of performers who do things like Etienne's a classic for it. What's his name? Paul
Martin.
That's the one. Sorry, Paul. But yeah, he like seeing them doing things like reaching into spectators' pockets. Like Etienne's a classic. He'll go, think of a card, and he'll reach into their pocket and he'll pull out like a pack of like a Viagra pot or something like that. And it's just like, and I love that. So I started doing that with the condom, and it was just fun. And then I've now added in So the way the routine works, so I asked them, I think this is important to mention as well. I don't ever do this as a way to hit on ladies, to do anything like that. I've never used magic to hit on a lady in my life because I've been married and been with my wife since before I could even hold a deck of cards. So yeah, I've never had that part of magic. And I will only really ever show this perform this on men because I don't want it to seem like I'm hitting on a woman or anything like that. The only time I'll ever perform it to a woman is if I get that vibe because she is talking filthy potty mouth, and then it's like, right, okay, you'll love this kind of thing. But the structure of the routine is nothing to do with hitting on somebody. So I say, if you were to name a card, what would it be? And they say 4 of spades, and I'll reach into their inside pocket and I'll go, just inside your pocket we have, and I pull out a condom. I'm like, and then I act embarrassed. I'm like, because they're a bit shocked by it. Other people are going to laugh. You don't want them feeling like they're laughing at them. You kind of want to be. So I kind of act like, oh, God, I'm so sorry, mate. and then I switch it back and I go, oh, hang on, wait. So I draw the attention away from the person back onto me. I say, I know it's not theirs. I know it's not theirs because it's regular. Yeah. And then I shake the condom and it turns into a king size condom. I go, because we all know he's king size. So now what you've done is you've gone from this embarrassing moment for this person to actually bigging them up. So they've gone from like, oh God, what is that? To like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah. And then I give it to them and I say, there you go. That's a little gift. I don't know. Like, let's do a proper trick. Right. And I kind of cancel that bit out. And then I go into the card selection process. I select the card, and then I go, I'm going to do some magic. Snap my fingers. I go, I just did magic. And I go, and then I spread through the cards, and it's not in there. My personality is really playful, quite fun. I almost, it's not ridiculing magic, but it's almost calling out all of the stereotypes of magic. Like if I'm gonna use a hanky, I'm gonna go, ooh, magic kind of thing. Like, ooh, look at this. I'm never gonna pull out a hanky seriously. And so it's a bit like that. So I go, let's do a proper trick. First card, ooh, I'm gonna do magic. It vanishes, and then I go, the card's now in your pocket. And they're like, what? And they'll go to their pocket, they'll pull out the condom, they'll pull out whatever else in the pocket. They'll be like, no, it's not. And they'll go, what? And they'll start searching other pockets. They'll go, no, it was that one. Was it not in there? They go, no. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I know what's happened. Did I get it stuck? And I'll just point to the condom. And then I'll be like, touch it, feel it. Doesn't feel like what should be in there, does it? And that's the moment that it hits home, and they're like, oh my God. And then they rip the condom open, and inside is their folded card. Now, the way that I've routined it is it's a comedy routine. It's not a flirtatious routine. But I love how it undulates. You go from this really solid start, like think of a card. That's quite a solid kind of thing to do, to them reaching into their pocket. They think this miracle is going to happen. Then you change, it just changes all of a sudden when the condom comes out. And then I found that I used to go from king size to regular sometimes, like, oh, okay, but that psychologically is nowhere near as strong. And the person feels belittled. And they could have a great sense of humor about it, but it's never going to make them feel as good as if you turn it from regular to king size. Okay. And so then it seems like that's the end of it. And I like this surprising coming back to things having strong magic happening. And then at the end of the routine, bang, something else that they never expected happens. And so that's why I kind of go, let's do a proper trick. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean I'm sorry. You keep that. And yeah, and then you go into the trick, and then it comes back to the condom at the end, and they don't see that coming. And yeah, it's a piece that I do for a lot of people. There are times when I think this isn't right, and I won't show it, but there more often than not, it's just lighthearted, fun comedy. It's not, like I say, it's not flirtatious or anything like that. So yeah, it's again something that I've worked, something that I've kind of grown to love, and it fits my personality. And it's another one of those, oh, you can't ever do that. Well, I'm going to do it, and if it works for me, I'm going to carry on doing it, kind of thing. And so yeah.
Now, with a routine like this, obviously you mentioned that you'll only do it to the right people. So in your working set, are you likely to put in a Card to Impossible location just in general? And then if you feel like it's the right group, you switch out the version that you were going to do for this in the moment?
I don't. What's the best way of saying how I work? So how I work is I try to have as much of my stuff as A-grade stuff. I don't want filler. I don't want to rely on Crazy Man's handcuffs it's a great trick. It's a great trick. It's a really, really strong trick, but it's not a performance piece. So I try to have as many A-grade things on me at any given point. but I don't know exactly what I'm going to do until I've addressed the group, spoken to them, introduced myself, shaken everyone's hands, and then I kind of understand where I'm going with that. I can do the exact same routine, and I do the exact same routine with different, like with a ketchup sachet. So that makes it a lot more family friendly, should you say? And it's also something you could do for children as well, which is great. But I don't have this trick in my set is an impossible location, and I'm always going to do an impossible location at that point in my set. My set changes. I have things that I repeat, obviously, but when I do them, I don't know. So yeah. But when I say I choose the right people, I think it's important to build rapport with people. I think it's important for you to be a person and to treat people like people. So when I first approach a group, I have my little intro, which a Jay Sankey kind of thing. It's kind of stuck with me. It works, which is, hi, my name's Ben. I've been asked by so-and-so to come and show you a quick couple of tricks. And guess what? You're next, kind of thing, or whatever I want to say at that point. But essentially what you're saying is, hi, my name's Ben. I've been asked by so-and-so to come and show you a couple of quick tricks. So they know your name, they know that you've been asked to do this, and they know it's just going to be quick. Okay. It's a nice kind of lead into it. And I say, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, what are your names? And then I'll shake everybody's hand. I'll remember everyone's name. I think that's super important. And I can share a couple of tips with that in a bit if you like. But yeah. So essentially, before I've gone to show anyone any magic, I know their names, I've shaken all their hands, and I've broken down a barrier that you can get sometimes because you get some people that are like, oh, great, I want to see like a magician. Yeah, amazing. And then you get some people that are like, all right, okay. And then you get some people that are nonplussed. You get different types of people. You can have all these types of people in one group. And unless you're keen, like aware, and unless you're paying attention to it, you're going to be giving off a performance that's going to be received really well by one type of person, but maybe not so well by the other people. So by doing this little intro, speaking to everyone, shaking everyone's hand, that's an invisible contract that goes, hey, we're going to get on right now. You know, if you're going to be a douche, then you really are a douche, kind of thing. Because who shakes someone's hand and then is instantly a douche to them? You know, and so it's broken down barriers. I now know where I stand. I now know who the alpha male is, if there is like one in the pack. I now know who's playful. You know, I now have an idea who I'm going to start with. I now also have noted things like who has a nice ring if I'm going to do a ring flight. Who's going to be the person that's most likely to have a wallet or some money on them, or like, not that people have money anymore, it's more credit cards, or, you know. And so I'm clocking all of these things in those first few seconds of meeting a group, and I haven't even got a deck of cards out of my pocket yet. And so yeah, I will know at the start of every group kind of where I'm going to go, but until that happens, I don't know. I just have a bank of things on me ready to go.
Yeah, that's a great choice, and another great heavy hitter in at number 6, and another object to impossible location. Let's see where we go with the tail end of your list. So what's in at number 7?
I think number 7, these last two are two things which I love performing. I think I'll go with rings. So rings is my linking card routine. I think you mentioned it earlier. I've had various iterations of how to do linking cards. I have methods for linking cards I've never released. Rings is something I released to the magic. This specific way of performing it, I released to the magic industry last year, the beginning of last year. And essentially what it is you take a playing card, you tear 2 rings out of it, those 2 rings are signed, and then they're placed in the spectator's hand, and they link together and are permanently linked. So they never come apart. And I've got loads of different methods for linking cards. Rings is the one that for me has stuck, because I did release OCL, one card link, many moons ago. I think I had a release on DVD with Merchant. That was 2012 or something like that. And then again, Illusionist put it out in 2016. And I love that method. I'm very proud of it, but it was me solving a problem. And the problem was, as a creator, I was like, okay, so how am I going to do this? And it was setting parameters for the creation and then solving those problems. And in doing so, the method works. It's great. I'm very proud of it. But there's a few things that are that could go wrong in a situation. For example, with the OCL method, the link is happening live. Like, you're undoing and then doing back together bits and bobs. So if you get anything wrong with any of that, the alignment at the end of with what you give them is just going to telegraph that something's not quite right. Then you also have the angle issue. You can't be completely surrounded because you're doing this kind of work. And there's also an issue with timing of preparing the gimmick to performing the trick. So although it ticks all the boxes in so many different ways, there's also a few things which made me keep going back to it. So rings is the same effect. You have a single playing card, you tear 2 rings out of it, you have those rings signed, and then they're placed in the spectator's hand. When they open the hand, these 2 signed rings are linked and permanently linked. But there's one aspect of it which you are leaving out in order to have a much more solid kind of routine. So a lot of the work is done before. The setup is easier. There's no timing issue with when you set it up to when you perform it. It feels exactly the same. But it's just more practical. It's just a more practical, surefire method. Because you are doing the prep beforehand, you can take your time with it. You can make sure that it's absolutely perfect, spot on, so that when they end up with this, because the last thing I want to do is be at the top table performing OCL, realize, oh God, the bridesmaids walked over, or there's some videographer that's come over my shoulder, or people have suddenly surrounded me then get a bit more nervous, a bit more tight with my performance, to then make a little mistake, which I then don't want to hand them the linked rings at the end. That'd be rubbish. So strip all that out, strip out all the worries, all the things, and just have a solid practical method for it. And that's what rings is. It's my permanently linked card, or signed linked card, that is practical.
Amazing. Well, I remember your OCL from way back when, and that was what prompted me to create Gathering, which is the trick that you're on the trailer for, so full circle moment. But I remember that absolutely taking the Magic world by storm when it came out. It was massive. And I mean, at the time, there was a wave of linking card routines. It was like the plot at the time. But yours was the cleanest. It was the fairest. It was the fact that they could be handed out. I think that was the thing that really captured magicians' imaginations.
It's funny that you mentioned all the different methods. It's like there were some years where coin and bottle was the trick that everyone's trying to like make the version of. And yeah, I do remember, because like Andrew Main had a linking card. And oh God, there were a few different linking cards. And yeah, everything was either an illusion of the link, or you linked it, but you couldn't have it inspected. And I was just like, right, how are we going to nail this? How are we going to have both bits signed, linked together, and given away at the end? And that's where, for a long time, I had this idea for OCL, but there was this one bit, which was like, you had to have like a razor blade cut in the paper, which I just did not want. I was like, no, because if I'm gonna give it out, I don't want 9 out of 10 people not knowing how it's done. I want 10 out of 10 people not knowing how it's done. You know, that's just how I want it. So I knew that if there was a slight little razor blade cut in the paper layer or something like that, then some people are going to find that. Okay. And I didn't want that. So that was out as a method. And so this idea that I had was like, well, that works, but how can I do it without that razor blade cut? And then there was this pivotal moment where I was just like, I put my key in a lock in my door, and I was just like, key into the lock. And then I was like, and for some reason that imagery just unlocked this little final detail that allowed me to then make OCL work, and not have this paper razor blade cut in it. And so yeah, that's kind of where that came from. But yeah, I definitely, that's why I set myself those parameters, was because the linking card was the cool thing at the time. So yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because yeah. And it's funny, there are some people, I got messaged by somebody, I think his name's Robbie Templeton, I think. And he was just saying how he uses OCL. He doesn't like the rings method. He likes the OCL method. And I'm like, well, fair play. You definitely perform that method more than I do now, because I don't perform it anymore. So yeah, it's funny. But yeah, rings for me is a solid, practical way of performing the exact same trick. It eliminates a lot of performance issues. For me as a working performer, if you're doing it one-off, then that's fine. But if you're doing something for a wedding and you're going, this is a piece that I want you to keep, and then you screw something up in performance and they can't keep it, that's rubbish. So again, I'm quite stringent with what I keep and what I don't keep. And yeah, if I make a rule, then I kind of try to adhere by that rule as much as I can.
Amazing. Well, that's a great win in at number 7. So let's find out what you put in your final spot.
So in my final spot is a routine that you will have only a few people will have seen if they've seen me lecture. And it's something that I call photo frame, which is it's essentially a image change inside a photo frame. And so you again, it's something that I can customize. It's something, this one trick, if I disregard money that you get from actually might even win that. I'm trying to think monetarily. Like, this one trick has earned me so much money, either in upselling and getting extra money for gigs because of an upsell, or for nailing a gig that I feel is kind of getting away from me in the quote phase and adding more value by giving this as something. It's also allowed me to feel confident in charging a good fee for private parties as well, because that's the one area that I'm still, always a bit unsure about, is the private party domain, because people don't have the same budgets as they do for weddings or corporate gigs, and I'm not a cheap magician, but I enjoy doing them. And so this has allowed me to, I don't earn the same from a wedding, as I would from a wedding or from corporate, but it's a decent wage, and I know I can pretty much nail it by offering photo frame as an upsell. Because essentially the basic routine, this is how I do it in my show. So I have a spectator choose a film. Okay. And everybody sees what film this is. And I say, I've got a prediction. It's inside this envelope. Here's, and then I start to do a mind read, and I say, okay, so, all right, I get the feeling of maybe some, I don't know. Okay. So I get the feeling there's something chasing, or like there's something hunting or something like that. Yeah. That makes sense to you. Now, the film that they've chosen is Terminator. But I say, okay, and this is, all right, so I feel like maybe there's a company in this, like, that has maybe got the wrong idea about doing stuff, and maybe humanity is going to suffer for this or something, and people think Skynet, and they think yeah, and then I sort of say, but this was a huge film, and they agree, and then I say, I think I've got it, and I open up the envelope and I pull out a photo frame, and inside is the movie poster Jurassic Park. I say, was it Jurassic Park? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, maybe this prediction routine is going to turn into a mind reading routine then. And I put the Jurassic Park photo in the frame on their hands. And then I say to them, and then I start to read their mind a bit and then get Terminator from that. Now I can then just reveal it. And what I have is the poster now is Jurassic Park, but instead of saying Jurassic Park, it says Terminator. And I can either just reveal it like that, or I can have them wipe their hand across the photo because they can be holding it. I can be quite free with this, and I can just place a hand over it and have them wipe across the Jurassic Park writing and turn it into Terminator. Of course, you can change one movie poster to another movie poster. You can have a black frame that a photo appears inside. You can have a card appear inside the frame. So you can force a movie, get that correct, show that you've predicted it correctly, put the frame in their hand, have a card selected, that vanishes, and it appears inside the frame as well. And the best thing about it is it's completely un-gimmicked. They can keep the frame, they can keep everything. So this is something that I do all the time at weddings. It's one of my top bespoke pieces because it ends up with a lovely gift for them. I can customize it however I like for them as well. And I can change the image from whatever I want to whatever I want, and another. There's nothing that can go wrong with it. You know, I remember having the idea. So somebody booked me for a wedding, and they were like, "I love graffiti." And I was like, "Hey, that's cool. I love graffiti too." And then I was like, "Well, how am I going to do this?" And I was just like, oh, God. And I was like, wait, okay, well, how about if I did a trick with something Banksy related? And there's a really famous Banksy image. I don't know if you are familiar with it. It's a red brick wall, and it's a homeless person sat with a sign. And the sign says, keep your money. And in tiny words, it says, I want change, which is a play on the word for change and money and homeless and everything like that. And so I thought, well, I'll use that. And I thought, well, how can I make this magical? And I thought, I can change the wording to say, keep your money, I want change, to something else. And I was like, okay, so now I'm on to something. And so I thought, well, what if I forced something and had it changed to that? And that's cool. But then I thought, what if I had 3 things chosen? And then it ended up saying, blah, 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 blah. Like, and so I was like, okay, well, that's cool. And I'll do 3. And then I was like, right, whoa, hang on. What if I Photoshop the homeless person's face? So it's now the groom. So the image is now a Banksy of the groom's face holding a sign that says, I'm not really even here. I'm in Malaysia eating a burger with my friend Tom Cruise or whatever. And I did this trick, and it just blew the house down. And like, this bloke was like, man, it's like, I've seen some magic in my time, but like, this hands down is the best trick I have ever seen. And like, they just went nuts for it. And that was like my basic first iteration of it. And now it's a lot cleaner. There's a lot more convincing. There's a lot more, it's just a really lovely performance piece that I love. And the fact that I end up giving them this gift, this lovely framed kind of moment of magic, is just really special. It's and like I say, from upsells and nailing gigs, this one trick alone has earned me thousands and thousands of pounds. So yeah, it's oh, look, you can see them in the background there. Those are my 3 movie posters. But yeah, it's I love it, and it fits into my whole bespoke, making things unique, making things creative, actually taking the time, putting the effort in, and coming out with a really, really wonderful result. Because I'm I don't subscribe to the oh it'll do kind of thing. I'll just go out and knock out my normal working routine. Like I want to put more effort in on every level to move, separate me from those people and like put me somewhere where they aren't, you know.
Well, I think it's a great way to round out your list. And I mean, all of the effects that you've picked seem very different. I mean, in terms of if this was a working set, we had Ring Flight Revolution, Card to Shoe, anything which is a mind reading effect, Coins Across, Digital Force Bag, Harding Condom, Rings, and your photo frame finish. In terms of a set, in terms of a show, it's definitely one of the quirkier, more interesting lists that we've had, I would have said.
Well, okay. Thank you, first of all. I think that's something which I really, I think diversity, having a wide range of things is a good thing. I don't like to kind of pigeonhole myself as a mentalist or as a card magician or anything like that. I like to have a varied amount of different styles of things that I can do so that if I feel, sometimes I just rock up to people and I'm like, what do you want to see? Do you want to see the coin trick? Do you want to see the mind reading thing? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Like, do you want to see misdirection? Do you want to see sleight of hand? Do you want to see real magic? And I ask them, I just go, what do you want to see? And then they'll let me know. And I know now what type of people I'm dealing with as well. I mean, mostly, if you go, do you want to see sleight of hand, misdirection, or real magic? People will go, real magic. I'd say 85% of people say that. But occasionally you'll get somebody that goes, I want to be misdirected. And you're like, great, let's play with that. Okay. And then you're giving them what they want. So having a wide range of tools in your belt just allows you to adapt to people. And I think that's so important. I think it's, for me, adapting to people and being versatile, fluid, and everything is really, really important. I mean, and again, if you like the reviews that I get and the comments I get back from people that I've gigged for, is not just saying like, oh my God, his magic was amazing, it blew me away. They all say stuff about my personality, who I am as a person, how I made them feel, and all these kinds of things. How I engaged everybody, like how I dealt with them before and after the gigs and things like that. And like about my personality as much as it is about the tricks. And that I'm really proud of. So,
well, let's see where your banishment is going to take us. So, Ben, I want you to imagine that you're going to dig a big sandy hole on your island and you're going to throw something inside. What are you going to banish from the industry?
This, for me, has been a really, really tough thing. I think for me, though, probably ego. There's so much ego in magic. And what it leads to is people saying, no, you don't want to do it like that. You want to do it like this. You see posts about like, what you should be wearing as a magician, and you get all these bits of advice that you're told you must do. And all you're really dealing with is somebody's ego that is believing that how they do it is the right way and the only way. And it was that led me to feeling uncomfortable as a performer for so long, because I took all these bits of advice on board, some conflicting, which left me confused. It made me be a performer that I wasn't being myself. And also I think some people want to put people down in the industry to make themselves feel better, to protect themselves. I think there's room for people to be themselves, and I think there isn't a one rule fits all. There isn't the best way of doing anything. There is, even in like, spilling into how magic is sold now, this whole this is the ultimate way of doing it, or this is the final answer, or, this is, this fear of missing out if you're not doing this the way that they do it, kind of thing. And I think it's a tough place because you need people to guide you. You need, especially when starting out, mentorship, tutorials, learning from others is really super important. But I don't think enough emphasis is put on the fact that you are not me and I'm not you. So I can tell you what works for me. I can tell you what I think is right, but that might not be right for you. So all I can say is, hey, I do this. Try it out. See if it works for you. And if it doesn't, that doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's wrong for me, because it is right for me. It's just not right for them. And I think it also, ego leads to lots of toxicity within the magic community that just need not be here. There's so much energy wasted in the magic community arguing over petty stuff that means nothing. There's some stuff that does mean stuff and does mean things. Yeah, for sure. I'm not like tarring the whole, everything that happens in the industry with that brush. But there's a lot of stuff which is irrelevant. It doesn't need the energy or the time spent on it. And if people were to just stick their ego back in their pocket for a moment and step back and look at the situation, they realize, maybe this is, not the way to go, if you like.
This is the thing that's been said the most in Banishment on the podcast. Yeah. And I do think at this point, I think it's going to be undoubtedly the thing that is spoken about the most going forward as well, with, good reason. And I think something that you said there as well, it's this idea of people passing judgment on things that they haven't tried yet. I think that's always quite interesting, the idea that someone says, well, you shouldn't do that without experiencing that for themselves and understanding the psychology behind that and why it does work, or, what about it works for that person. I think it's really interesting that people are so quick to shoot things down without just trying it and seeing what happens.
And yeah, I think that's entirely true. I think probably not one person that told me not to do card and shoe had ever tried card and shoe. And that's not to say that I've done it works for me, therefore they should do it. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. But I think that's the whole thing. It's so easy. The magic industry, I don't know whether it's just this or not. I don't know whether I've not paid attention to different industries and different communities across the world. But this is one where there's a lot of looking at other people and thinking that you haven't got it, so you must do it like them in order to get it. And I don't think that's right. I think that doesn't stem from you not having it. It stems from you not having the confidence that you have it. So work on your confidence. Don't buy a new trick. Don't buy this ultimate method for this, or like this new electronic gadget that's going to stop you having to do this and having to do that because it does it for you. Stop outsourcing and not feeling complete within, and realize that you have it already, because no one is you. And the moment that you realize that, and the moment that you go, okay, like for example, I used to love the whole levitation kind of thing. I used to think, God, that's so magical. Make a balled up banknote float between your hands. Oh, it's so magical. I wouldn't perform that now if you paid me, because I know that's not me. My personality has no place in describing what's going on there, apart from I'm fooling you with some bit of wire or a bit of string or something like that. But there are some people that that is them. That like Lysander. Would I ever perform like Lysander? No. Does that mean that what he does is wrong? No. It worked for him and it works for him. So he has that space. And that's great. That's fine. And because I don't do it, it doesn't mean that I'm not worthy of a similar space in a different area, if you know what I mean. I think we need to know who we are as people and connect with other people as well. I think there's too much magician spectator, when really you're a person and they're a person. Yeah, I very much now leave what I do to my spectators' choice. If they believe it's real magic, they believe it's real magic. If they believe that I'm a wicked trickster, they believe I'm a wicked trickster. I don't really care what they believe. What I care about is that the time that we spent together was positive, was good, gave them a great, I realize what I love about magic is, and it's not, I've never been me, look at me performer. What I love about magic is leaving people a little bit higher than they were before I met them. And I can only do that to everybody if I address everybody and I understand what people want as an individual. And you might have 6 different personality traits within a group of 6 different people. So my goal then is to connect somehow with everyone. And yeah, that might be by doing a certain trick on them, or it might just be saying the right thing at the right time to them and bringing them into the trick somehow. If you've got somebody standoffish and they've got their arms folded and they're watching really with a beady eye, then I'm going to pay them a compliment. I'm going to go see John's got the right idea. He hasn't taken his eyes off the cards. Like, he is watching them like a hawk. And that's what you should all be doing, So I might not have him choose a card or do a trick on him in that set, but that interaction, that one moment, gave us a connection. And so that's my goal, is to leave everyone a little bit higher than they were before we met. And and you can only really do that if you leave your ego at the door and you treat everyone as equals.
Well, that is banished. So ego is gone, right? So we don't have to deal with that again. Now that takes us to your book. So what did you put in your book position?
Oh, this beauty here, which looks like nothing because you can't see it. This is a podcast. And also Jamie's looking at it going, what is this? Because it's a blue book, but it is Daryl Fitzke's The Trick Brain. This is like a blueprint to creativity in magic. Daryl Fitzke has a wicked trilogy of books. He's got the Magic Showmanship by Magicians or something, or Magic by Showmanship or something. He's got Magic and Misdirection, I think, or something like that. And he's got The Trick Brain. They are 3 outstanding books that are all about psychology of magic as opposed to tricks. But what the Trick Brain is it strips everything away into its foundation level. So it breaks everything down. Like, every magic trick can be boiled down to a certain amount of different tricks. Like, a levitation is a levitation whether you're levitating a balled up bit of paper or a house. It doesn't matter. It's a levitation. Okay, so that's that realm of trick. And then what it does is, so it lays these foundations of what different tricks there are. There are productions, appearances, there are transpositions, there are vanishes, and it basically lays that foundation. And then within those foundations, it goes, say for a levitation, you either need to propel it from below or support it from above. Those are your methods. There is obviously a more horizontal plane, but then that's not as fluid with the levitation or whatever. But it basically breaks everything down into core components or foundations, which then become building blocks to creating your own magic. So now you can start to look at different items, different objects, different things around and go like, okay, well, what could I do with that? And gives you a foundation to build creativity from. And I love that. Absolutely love it.
That sounds great. Yeah, I've just as you were reading it, I did just do a little read up on it as well. It's quite an old book. I think it says the first edition was 1944. But it sounds fascinating, the idea that he manages to shrink it down to these 19 different outcomes, and then from that he extrapolates on it and then builds on it. I think that's fascinating. It sounds like a great book.
It is. It gives you a great foundation to create from, a solid base, and also it just works with my brain. My brain likes to kind of filter things down and put them into boxes, if you like, and it just really helped me. And there's loads of other great books. There's the Art of Astonishment books. I love. Oh wait, hang on, I've got it right here. So this is a book from a buddy of mine called Nate Staniforth, and Clouds and Kingdoms. And I love this book. This book's fantastic. But I think for me, something that doesn't just teach me tricks and inspire me that way, it actually gives me the tools to create my own ideas is super valuable. And that's what the trick brain is.
Amazing. Well, let's go on to your final item then. So this is your non-magic item that you use for magic.
I'd say elastic, not like a rubber band elastic. I'd probably just have a huge supply of elastic cord, because you can. There's a lot that you can do with elastic. It's a means of making something move. If you have it under tension and release that tension, it's going to move something. And that can be applied to loads of different things. And you can use it to make really insane, very clean vanishes. You could, if you want to boil down to it, you could just have a bit of elastic that you cut and glue to itself as a band to do out to lunch with. There's different. You could make 2 rings out of elastic and then do crazy man's handcuffs kind of thing. So or any manner of elastic kind of tricks. But I think it's a tool which I've used a lot in creating little bits and bobs. And I think it's versatile and probably not the right choice, but for a non-magic item, it would have to be that, I think.
Okay, well, it's one that we've not had before, so I'm happy with that. It's almost like if we take all of the items that people have said and we put them into a little kit, it'd be like a little toolkit for magicians, which is good.
You need to curate that. You need to invite some creators and go let's have a little magic off and see who can come up with the best stuff.
Let's go back over your list. So we got a ring flight revolution, card to shoot, anything, coins across, digital force bag, card in condom, rings, photo frame. Your banishment was ego. Your book is the trick brain, and your item is elastic. What a great list!
And that has been my Desert Island Tricks.
Ben, if people want to find out more, you mentioned that you teach the photo frame trick in your lecture. So if people want to find out more about you, about the lecture, all of that good stuff, where do they go to?
I would say a good thing would be to go to my Gumroad website, which is unbelievablemagicgumroad.com. And that's like my store for my digital products. But you can click to subscribe to my emails from there, where I will send out. I try not to send out daily email. Not even weekly emails. My emails follow a format I call 3-mail, which is there's something new, there's something to learn, and there's something to inspire you. So this inspiration might be non-magic. It might be something that I've seen which has made me go, oh, that's pretty cool. It might be magic related. There's something to learn is usually a little tip or trick or something which I have picked up in either a performance tweak or an actual idea that you can just use in your own performance. And then there's something new. It's just something new that I've seen, which I want to talk about. So the whole idea is I don't want it to seem like every email is a sales email. We all have enough of them. I just want to share my thoughts and help inspire people. And also, if you subscribe to my newsletter, then you get all of my back catalogue, apart from Switch and Rings, and my card and condom, which are my 3 latest releases. All my other releases you get for free. So you get a PDF with video links to download the 2-gimmick it yourselves. There's my card and shoe. There's anything. There's labeled evolution. There's like anything that you can think of that I've released is on there. So
and if
you can have it for free.
And if they want to book you for a lecture?
You can email ben@unbelievable-magic.com. Unbelievable Magic is my website, so if you go to unbelievable-magic.com, you're going to get my performance website. If you go to unbelievable-magic.gumroad.com, you'll get my magician's product website. So, but either website, you can reach out to me, drop me an email. I'll happily chat. And if you have any questions, and I always say this as well, if anybody ever has any questions, thoughts, or problems with anything that they've got from me, just speak to me. I will always help.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, Ben.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And of course, thank you all for listening. We're going to be back next week with another guest. But for now, have a great week. Goodbye.
When I perform at gigs, I look at effects that tick these 3 boxes. Is it super strong and powerful? Yes. Will it last with your spectators for a lifetime? Absolutely. And does it leave them with a souvenir that perfectly captures the moment of magic? If that all sounds exactly what you're after, look no further than the liquid forks. These forks have been custom designed to be able to bend right in front of your spectators' eyes. It's so easy to perform, it's so visual, and trust me, they will honestly keep this impossible object because they've seen it morph in front of their eyes. It literally does the impossible. Not only that, Liquid Forks comes with 50 of these forks in each pack, and it comes with the full Liquid Forks routine taught by the world famous David Penn. Not only that, we have a subscription service. If you guys love these forks and you get through them at your gigs, we now offer a monthly subscription where you get sent a box through every single month at a 10% reduced fee. Like I said, you guys are going to be loving these. You're going to be performing them every chance you can. Trust me, the reactions are second to none. So guys, head over to alakazam.co.uk, pick up a set of liquid forks. You will not regret it. Easy to do. Leaves them with a killer souvenir. And to be honest with you, it's not cards, it's not coins, it's not mentalism. It's something beyond belief. Check it out now, guys, the liquid forks.